Okay, welcome back. We're on the road today and we're going to talk about the truth about Space A. There are 5 things that you need to know. There's more than that, but I'm going to give you 5 today. Number 1, Space A requires some real self-education, research, and effort. Now, we all know that Space A requires some real self-education, research, and preparation. That translates to effort. In order to get the best results and minimize frustration, it's critical to become educated on how Space A works and to know where you can go to do research and to know how and where to catch Space A flights. There are a number of great free resources that are available, and the first source of information I would refer you to is the AMC or Air Mobility Command website. I've linked that in the description below. Here you can learn almost everything that you need to know to figure out the basics of Space A travel and what's required. I would also refer you to my video series called Space A Boot Camp, and I've provided the link here. Check out this series and you can get even more specifics on the how-to of Space A. And whether you have a good experience or a challenging experience is going to depend heavily on the amount of research and preparation that you do or don't do. Fact number 2, Space A can be as or more expensive than commercial travel. You heard that right. Space A can in fact be as or more expensive than commercial travel because you can be non-selected for a flight. And in some cases, because you've been non-selected for a flight, you may have to spend 1 or more additional nights waiting for a flight to become available to your destination or going in the direction you want to go. And you may have to incur the costs of lodging, meals, and transportation related expenses, and those can really add up. And in some cases, those costs can exceed the costs of a commercial flight option. So all of these are important considerations as you make your Space A travel plans. You need to make sure that you have the funds available or a credit card that can allow you to shoulder those additional costs if they come up. That way you're prepared for any situation. Space A fact number 3. Space A is not a reliable option for transportation to specific destinations on a specific date and time. I see it all the time on Facebook pages. Someone says something like, on July 20, I need to be at XYZ location to be at my brother's wedding. How do I get there using Space A? This scenario or any other scenario where you have to be at a specific location on a specific date is a situation that does not lend itself well to Space A travel at all. It's not a viable option in those situations. Space A is just too unpredictable and you risk the possibility of missing an important major life event, and you don't want that to happen to you. Now, I understand that for every rule, there's an exception. There are circumstances where people may resort to using Space A in these circumstances, and it might work out fine. But why risk it? In general, you're better off planning for a commercial travel option when you're in this kind of a situation. Space A fact number 4. Space A requires a great deal of flexibility. For the same reasons I outlined in my response to item number 2 and 3, Space A requires that you have flexibility of schedule. Your planned flight may leave on the date you planned, or if it's a C5, it might leave the next day, or the next day. It might not leave at all. Or there could be significant delays in transit on the way. Alternatively, there can be delays when you're trying to return. I've experienced that personally. Flights can be canceled or rerouted depending on the mission and crew requirements. There's any number of circumstances that could affect the schedule of your flight. Also, under the heading of flexibility, you need to be financially flexible. And what I mean by that is you need to be financially prepared to handle unexpected expenses because they will come up. For example, my first Space A travel experience was with my buddy Chris. We flew from Travis Air Force Base to Hawaii, spent several days there, and the trip out there went smooth, it went easy. But on our way back, all of the available flights dried up. And as a result, we ended up not getting selected for a flight and had to resort to a commercial option to get back. Now, I'm not blaming anybody, but Lieutenant Colonel Chris knows it was his fault. He had to be back on a date time certain, so we flew back to San Francisco commercially, then had to rent a car one way to get to Travis Air Force Base where our car was, and the bottom line is we incurred a number of different expenses that we had hoped not to confront, but we were prepared for. So it's critical to be financially flexible and ready to meet unanticipated expenses. Again, flexibility is key. Number 5, Space A rewards those who are prepared, persistent, and show up with a plan A, B, C, and D. That might be a little bit of an exaggeration, but you need to show up prepared and have alternate plans. If you've done your research and are prepared and show up ready with a good attitude, you're more likely to have a good experience overall with your Space A travel experience. What's an example of showing up unprepared? Well, not signing up in advance and trying to catch a flight during PCS season. I see this all of the time on Facebook. This sort of thing happens every day. And then those bitter souls go onto Facebook groups to whine and complain about their bad experience. Alternatively, somebody who is prepared signs up 40 or 50 days in advance of their scheduled flight time. Somebody who is prepared avoids flying during PCS season, so there's less competition for seats, which positively impacts their competitiveness. Somebody who's prepared also is ready to take the first aircraft that's going in their general direction. They are likely to have greater success and a better experience. Also, be persistent. Don't rely on the information that's posted. Actually engage and talk to passenger terminal staff. Things change in real time, and those updates to the changes may not have made it to the status boards in the passenger terminal. If they're aware of where you're going, and if you're engaging them, you can be made aware of last-minute changes. Also, on the subject of persistence, you need to show up for your roll call and be there when it happens. Compete for every flight that's going in your direction. Also, it's a mistake to judge your odds of getting a seat based on the number of people that are in a passenger terminal. There are sometimes situations where there are 10 people and only 4 seats available, but the Cat 3 family has 6 persons in their group and they can't be split up, and as a result you could very well get a seat even though they're a Cat 3 family and you're a Cat 6 traveler, and you wouldn't know that if you didn't show up and compete for that roll call. So the bottom line is, be persistent, stick around for the roll call, and compete for the flight every time. And finally, here's just a friendly tip. If you're just now learning about military Space A travel, I would recommend that you join the several Facebook Space A travel groups. Then you can continue your education by reading the featured posts. You can also do keyword searches on topics that are of specific interest to you and see what the answers have been to the very question that you're looking to ask that has already been answered on that Facebook group. There's a wealth of information that could be very useful to you by joining those Facebook groups and checking them out. So thanks for joining me today. If you haven't already done so, I would encourage you to click the like and subscribe button. We would love to have you be part of our team. If you have any feedback or questions about anything that I've presented today, please leave me a note in the comments below. So good luck with your Space A travel adventure planning, and I'll see you in the passenger terminal.